In the last episode, our undercover journalist narrated how she was accused of faults she was not aware of, and her breaking point coming when she was declared a spy. In this episode, she continues with how she grappled with the spy label. Her life in Riyadh started off on a bad note and seemed to deteriorate into the worse. When they arrived at the girl's boss Muhammad's office, the rest were picked by their employers except her. When they fetched her from the office to go and work, they just dumped her in the room, where she starved for hours on end. Later, they accused her of refusing to travel to Daman, where her employer was waiting for her. In the process of moving from the unknown to the abyss, she appealed to help from her workplace. Her supervisor linked her to an official from the Ministry of Gender, who put her recruiting company at task. They in turn accused her of being a spy of government, and Muhammad vowed to deal with her. The next day, two men came in the house with tools she suspected to be a sword or a panga. When they headed in her direction, she took off as other members of the family tried to restrain her from leaving. She ran outside the gate and kept on moving until she met some men who helped her locate Al Fujaraha hostel. But when Muhammad called the employer, he was told the girl suddenly ran mad. That she saw two men came in to repair an electricity problem and took off. The family told Muhammad that they no longer wanted the girl and that they would send her personal effects to the office. She had left her passport and personal effects with her employer. Muhammad said he was patient enough to give every domestic worker 3 chances, and when a girl failed in 3 homes, she would get deported back to Uganda. She asked for Wi-Fi so she could connect to her people in Uganda. He instead connected her to his data and left the room, saying she could interact with Ugandans while he attended to other people. She couldn't call New Vision or Ministry because she feared he would trace the people she talked to using his data. She got scared that Muhammad and his people could have tracked her calls. How much of her mission were they aware of? Maybe he was playing mind games of intimidation. He tapped on her shoulder and advised her to play her cards very well. He then left her and started pacing from left to right. At 7 p.m., Muhammad asked one of the staff to drive her to a destination she couldn't tell. She actually thought she was being taken to either airport or the police. They moved without saying a word. About 40 minutes later, they arrived at a certain place with isolated buildings. The driver asked her to move out with her bag because we had reached their destination. She looked around to see if there was any sign of police station, but there wasn't any. She asked where they were taking her, and he said it was a hotel. The building actually looked like a hotel, but there was no signpost to show, which was unusual. There was a security officer manning the entrance, and the electronic checks were intricate. The driver told her to stand somewhere as he checked her in. He took her documents and took about 5 minutes talking to the security men. She thought of running away, but quickly shot down the idea and the possibility. She also thought of returning to the car and drive off because it was a keyless starter. The driver returned and told her he had finished. She should proceed. She refused to enter. He grabbed her shoulder and forced her in. She tried to resist, but he was stronger. He pushed her inside. She hadn't experienced this kind of violence from any Saudi since she arrived in Riyadh. Inside the first room was a lady. She told her that she was under arrest. She ordered her to sit and face the camera for a picture. She again asked her to face left, then right, and took the different photograph angles. The Arab she went with started signing some papers. She was ordered to stay seated there and not to move an inch. Within about 30 minutes, she saw Muhammad come in with a sinister smile. But he looked very irritated and had folded his kanzu sleeves. He was also given some papers to sign on. She asked him what was happening, where she was, and why she was there. He only responded, "Young lady, you are no longer my business. I have nothing to do with you anymore. This is your new home." In the next episode, our undercover journalist narrates how she was locked up from the world.